Welcome to Crazy Avey Land. I'm Crazy Avey, aka Anne-Marie Avey, and today we're talking about a little thing called grief. Now, why am I talking about this? A lot of you guys since my first video have reached out to me and asked me to do a video on how to handle with grief or what to do when your friend's dealing with grief. So if you're going through a breakup or you lost your job, that's all under grief as well as death. So with that, Colonel! Sorry, he likes to purr whenever I mention death. Sorry about that. God damn it! Oh my god. I'm so sorry about that. Looks like I'm gonna have to fix everything. Okay. Well, I guess I'm not gonna mention D-E-A-T-H ever again around Colonel. God damn it! He knows how to spell!
Welcome to Crazy Avey Land.
I don't know what I'm doing.
So I've broken this down to 5 parts. The first part is the physical part of what happens to you as you grieve. Your body whacks out. For example, the first system is either you're hyperactive or you're underactive. Hyperactive means you gotta go. You gotta do something all the time because if you sit still with it, too much of the emotions make you feel uncomfortable and it's sad, so you always try to go. Or you're underactive, where you just lay in bed for days and days at a time. I am an underactive person. That means for days I did not leave my bed with my cats because I was freaking comfortable with it. All of these things that I'm gonna talk to you about is normal. It is normal to not leave your bed for 3 weeks if you're going through grief. So I'm telling you all these things so you can stop saying bad things to yourself, like you're lazy, get up. You have to stop talking to yourself like that because that even makes you more sad, more depressed, and makes you want to stay in bed longer. So we have to address what is normal. Another one is physical distress. For example, for me, you might have major abdominal pain. I was going to the bathroom all the time. And I'm talking about number 2, and sometimes it was a number 3 for months. Now I went to doctors and they asked what was going on with me, not just about my diet, but also about your external environment. And I said, my mom passed, and they stopped me right there. They said, a lot of times your digestive system acts up during this time because it's hard for you to even digest what happens. I was blown away when I heard that because that's how much your insides are affected by how you think and feel. So you have to really take care of your body and pay attention to these physical symptoms that come along. Another one is fatigue and restlessness. I was feeling so tired all the time. Restlessness. So even though I was tired, I also felt like I couldn't move. I was just stuck all the time, like I wanted to do stuff, but I couldn't. Another one is crying and sighing. So sighing, taking breaths like this, you'll just take it out of nowhere. That's a sign of depression or grief. And it's because a lot of times we don't breathe a lot. We forget or we're not breathing as deep. And it helps us to calm down whether you consciously know it or not. Also, crying uncontrollably. That's what I did all the time. When my cat, Colonel Meow, died, I was bawling like a maniac all the time. Colonel, don't be with me. Anyways, I was crying all the time because I was sad. I was sad. Now I don't know. Another is your tightness of throat. Sometimes when you're grieving, stuff comes up or you're holding it back. So your throat gets a lot of stress in there. So you might have sore throat or you lose your voice a lot. It's just tighter than normal. So all you have to do is just rest and not talk. This is a normal thing. Don't beat yourself up because you're not talking to people. Don't beat yourself up because you're having diarrhea. Like you don't understand. All of these things are normal. You sound like a crazy person, but in fact they're not. It's just normal. Next up, now I'm gonna tell you just some basic emotional stuff. And I tell you this because sometimes when you're just walking around in life and this emotion smacks out of you nowhere, you're gonna be thinking, oh my God, why did that happen? Oh, grief, bitch. So what do we got? So numbness. Oh, didn't even feel that. You know what I mean? Anger. Did you not heat the pool? Oh my God, what if I can't do something on my own?
Do not fear. I am more alive than ever. I am always with you, whether you like it or not. Meow, meow, meow.
Where am I gonna be in 5 years? Relief. Now I know this sounds bad, but actually a lot of people are relieved when someone passes, because if they were sick, they don't have to watch them be sick anymore, or the funeral's over, so they're even happy that they don't have to deal with the funeral stuff anymore. Either way, it's actually a normal feeling and you're not a bad person. Or maybe that person wasn't very nice to them and they now don't have to deal with the emotional abuse anymore. So these things are really normal. So don't beat yourself up or beat someone else if they ever give you this answer, because it's actually kind of relieving when you don't have to see someone suffer. Loneliness. I am not alone. I have my cat. It's basically a person, except they don't say anything. But it's fine, right? Oh God, please don't leave me. I'm too lonely for this right now. I'm too lonely for this. Anxiety. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. Meaningless. It's all meaninglessness. Why care? We're all gonna die anyway. I'm gonna go to Mexico and get away and lose it. Take me home tonight. I don't wanna let you go till you see the light. Let's get hookers, man. Let's do it. This life. Vulnerability. Oh my God, it's my ex. Hello? Yes, I do think we should get back together, and no, I don't think it's a bad idea. So one thing for me was irritability. After my mom died, I was constantly irritated. Just driving in my car, irritated that someone cut me off more than normal, irritated that I had to wait on the phone longer. All these feelings were always coming up, and instead of getting mad at myself because why are you irritated, you idiot, I started to ask myself why. When you start to ask yourself why you're feeling an emotion rather than getting mad at yourself for feeling that emotion, it's a game changer. The reason why is because once you realize that your emotions are actually trying to communicate something with you, not just make you crazy, you need to stop and understand this language. The language of emotion. Because when I was irritated, I was getting mad at myself, I hated this feeling, and then I realized I'm actually just irritated that my mom died. I'm actually just irritated that I can't cuddle my cat anymore. So once you're able to address it, it kind of loosens up. So when you address this ugly feeling and say, why are you irritated? And then you find the actual root of why you are irritated, you can then release it. And then you're able to let go of that emotion and then go on with your day a little bit more normal. It's not gonna be perfect. It's always gonna come in, kind of come out. But again, what is the moral of the story? Is that it's normal. All of these emotions are normal. So I'm trying to talk to you guys like this in a very natural way because it's actually a very natural thing. And instead of hiding or shunning away, we need to talk about it more in the open so that we can process it ourselves and also be able to help others who are going through the same thing. To the next thing. We covered the physical, we covered the emotional, now we're gonna cover some social aspects. These are things that are normal, things that you can notice in your friend or notice that it's happening to you. How we handle people and loved ones when we're out in the world, all right? One thing you're already gonna be when you're dealing with grief is overly sensitive. Everything's gonna make you cry, everything's gonna make you super angry, everything's gonna make you super sensitive on some degree. This is normal. I know you didn't want that to be normal, but it's normal. You're also gonna be withdrawn. You're not gonna be wanting to talk to a lot of people. Maybe you're just staying in bed all the time. You might not be as your active self that you normally are because you're dealing with a lot of other shit at the moment. So you're gonna pull on back. You actually might avoid others. For example, I didn't talk to anyone on the phone for 3.5 months. Sometimes when you're going through something so intense and sad, you don't want to put on a face and have to act nice and polite and funny to everyone in order to make them feel okay. So you avoid them to actually save them from feeling awkward and weird. You have to understand that a lot of people haven't gone through what you've gone through. You've been through a lot, but they haven't necessarily. How do you expect someone else to really understand what you're feeling when you yourself are pretty confused with what's going on? Also, you don't want to be fake. No one wants to be fake. And a lot of times it's easier to find people who have gone through similar situations as yourself so they can give you some wisdom on what the hell is going on. So that's why you avoid people. It's not because of personal things or anything like that, but some people can take offense. So if you have a friend that might be avoiding you, or maybe they're just closed down a lot, don't take it personal, man. They're going through grief. They're going through something that maybe you haven't gone through, so they can't even like share that connection. And I know sometimes a lot of people are there to listen and blah, 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 but that's what professionals are for. You also might have a lack of interest in anything that's going on around you. So for example, if you're at the club or something, it's just not doing it like it used to because you're still processing the grief. A lot of people have to understand that what you process mentally takes a lot longer physically. The emotions have to get out of your body and kind of surface and say hello. All these bad emotions, like we talked about, just want a little bit of attention from you so they can be released. There's also a lack of initiative. So you don't want to start anything, you don't want to be the leader of anything with your friend. Colonel, put the laser pointer down. What do you mean it's going to help motivate me? It's a gun. Fourth thing I want to talk to you about is behavioral choices. This is a difference in your behavior. For example, you might just forget everything all the time. Where are your keys? Where's your mind? Where's your job? I don't know how to get there. Whatever. You just forget everything. Another one is trying not to talk about the loss in order to make others feel more comfortable around you. So a lot of times these big things happen in our life, death, grief, all this kind of stuff. And then you go to a party and you can tell people are on edge and they're just kind of looking at you like, should I, they don't even know what to say. They're like a deer in headlights. So then you just shut up and not say anything. Although there's a healthy time and place to address this to certain people, you don't necessarily have to be so quiet about it, but you also don't have to be so in depth about it. For example, for me, it was always weird when no one asked if they knew how I was doing about my mom's death or my dad's death, because it was such an obvious big thing that I don't understand how someone doesn't address the elephant in the room. Now, does that mean I'm gonna have to go in and just like be a long outdrawn story about exactly how I'm going through? No, not at all. That's why you have professionals in your life, okay? They're the ones that take control of that. But if you are a friend that has another person going through a lot, what I would do is be like, hey, I'm so glad to see you. If you ever need anything, let me know. You don't have to be like, how you doing? Or all that kind of stuff. Sometimes when you just address it really simply like that, you don't leave this open-ended question and put everything onto the other person to talk. So you can just like say it out there that you're there and that's all they need to hear. Another thing that happens often too is you'll hear a lot of people that need to retell the story of what happened. Either the breakup or the death or whatever, because on some level it's helping them process. I wasn't that person all the time, but sometimes I did rehash it because other people asked, and I do find that there are actually a lot more people that are going through the same thing that you are. So if anyone ever asks you, you don't know what's going on in their life. So maybe you're helping them by sharing. But if you're the friend and you're uncomfortable with what they're sharing, either excuse yourself, go to the bathroom, or whatever. Don't be mad at them. Why you can't be mad at them? Because again, this is all under the umbrella of grief. What does that mean? What have we learned? Grief is normal. So all these things that I just told that make you uncomfortable are normal. So another one is dreams of the deceased. I had the most intense real dream of Colonel Meow the night he died. He came to me in this dream where he was just purring and rubbing himself all over me and being so lovey. And I woke up and I felt like it was so real. And I know you guys have felt that way because everyone has had a dream where you were certain it was real. So it's normal to have these dreams and not to be afraid of the deceased or of loved ones past coming into your dreams and trying to, oh my, you're pouring one out for the homies? I don't even know. I mean, I guess that's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's just scotch. So everything I've said so far, just to reiterate, is what? Normal. Normal. I say this again because this is going to help us go into the fifth and final part of the segment, how to deal if you or a loved one are going through grief. How do you even handle it? Well, let me tell you. First one is to get professional help. You can read up on stuff like get self-help books or anything like that, but it is so helpful to go and get and talk to a professional, not your friend, not your brother, not your boss. If they haven't gone through it, they don't know what they're talking about. Or you don't know if they're even a healthy person to be able to handle this in the first place. So you need to talk to somebody who understands this entire process. When I was going through stuff with my mom, I was having a problem dealing with a family member and I didn't know how to handle it. I actually called this hospice hotline and asked, hey, they're doing this, they're saying this. How do I even deal with it? Because sometimes when you're so angry or irritated, it's overwhelming and you don't know how to handle. So you need a third party, someone that you don't know that well but is a professional, to help guide you through the necessary steps in order for the healthiest outcome. It's because they're not as emotionally wrapped up in it as you are. So they're able to have a little bit clearer vision on what's actually going on. There's like counselors you can talk to. I have a life coach. There's spiritual teachers and guides you can get into. There's therapists, someone at your school that's a counselor, all these things. There's so much help out there, but you have to ask, because if you don't get help on how to process all this stuff that's going on, it's gonna come out somewhere else. It's gonna come out drinking, it's gonna come out with sex, it's gonna come out with drugs, it's gonna come out with you yelling at your neighbor for no reason. Even though that's technically normal, you wanna process this as healthfully as possible so that the next time something happens in your life that throws you off kilter or anything like that, you are prepared and have tools to handle anything that comes your way. Also, you need to be patient with yourself. I know that sounds real cheesy, Emery, but it's true. How we talk to ourselves is really important because you're already feeling super low, super depressed, super confused. When you add those negative thoughts about yourself on top of all the negative things that's going on, it's gonna drag you down. So you learn how to be nice to yourself. What does that mean? Okay, so when you do forget to pay that bill, instead of being like, you're an idiot, I can't believe you, you piece of low garbage disintegrating in the middle of nowhere with no reason, you're ruining this planet, I hate you, you stinky pile of trash. We're not gonna say that anymore. Instead, wow, I must have a lot of forgetfulness, which is one of the symptoms of grief, which is what I mentioned under the behavioral aspects. My mom's gonna come over and she's gonna be mad that I didn't vacuum. You can tell your mom to f off because you're going through a lot. And if she cares about the vacuuming, she might as well do it herself. Also, I started meditating, which helped me be more calm throughout the day. So if anything irritating, right? Remember when I said I was really irritated all the time? When anything irritating came up, because I was meditating about twice a day, I was able to roll through everything a lot faster and smoother. And another activity to do is to be around people and at the same time, not be around people. What do you mean, Emery? Well, let me explain. You need your friends, you need to laugh, you need to be around social human beings, you need to talk about something else instead of all the stuff that you've been through. You need to kind of remember that there's other stuff happening in the world. So it's very important to regularly schedule time for friends or family or something. Because sometimes you have depression and then you have deep chronic depression. And depression is normal in any type of grief, but deep chronic depression means that you're gonna stay there a lot longer than just dipping in and out of it. And it's okay to stay in depression when you're going through grief, but from someone who's suffered from low-grade depression since high school, I will tell you, if you set aside time so that you have something to look forward to, rather than just another ending loneliness of nothing day in, day out. So set a little fun activity for friends and family. Also, I said don't be around people. Sometimes you just can't handle people's okay? So also be gentle if you can't do something. It's hard being around people when you're going through all this crazy stuff. A lot of times we go out and we think, yeah, man, deal with it. Because I've been through hell and back, so I'm gonna be my normal crazy self and you just have to put up with it. Yes and no. Yes, it's normal. So whatever you're going through, if you're mad, angry at one point, or if you don't want to talk at another, that is all normal. But you doing abusive behaviors to yourself or to others isn't healthy or okay, which is again why you always try and get professional help. No one has to put up with your grief. Not one person. Let me explain this. If someone is shaming you for the normal behaviors that I have just mentioned in this entire video, then that's not okay. This is why I keep telling you it's normal, it's normal, it's normal, so that these uncomfortable feelings become a normal language that we speak about. So if your friend is uncomfortable because you're randomly crying, that's their problem. They don't have to put up with it. They don't have to hang out with you for a while as you go through this. This does not mean that you have to hide. This does not mean that you have to be embarrassed. This does not mean that you have to stay at home. No, I encourage you to go forward. I encourage you to go out. And when these things come up, let them come up. Now let's say you're a friend and you can't handle emotions and you've never had anyone die and you don't know what the hell to do. Let me tell you, you don't have to do anything. It's not your job. All you have to do is take care of yourself. If taking care of yourself means that you have to kind of step away from your friend that's going through grief, then you do that. Because how on earth are you supposed to understand or know what to do if you yourself haven't gone through it? There's no way. It's impossible. But if you start shaming someone, for example, oh my God, they were like crying in public, it's like, go home then. Or, oh my God, you were irritated at the whatever. God, it's like, calm down. If you can't handle that person, then you don't need to be around them. We can't shame people for things that are normal. That's the whole thing I want to get to you, is it's normal to cry randomly. It's normal to feel irritated at the barista because they screwed up your freaking drink. It's normal to feel those things, especially when it's heightened through grief. So if you're the person going through grief, you do not have to apologize. If you're the friend that has the friend going through grief, you do not have to hang out with them. Both are equally acceptable. And last but not least, I recommend a high amount of memes and funny movies. If you are a friend and you don't know what to say and you want to hang out, but you don't know how to approach the situation, I am telling you, nothing makes someone feel better than a funny meme and then a little, hey, thinking of you, hope you're doing well. That's it. That's all you have to do. And some kind of acknowledgement goes a long way. It really does. As the person going through grief, as annoying as it can be sometimes, when someone tells you how to grieve, when they haven't been through it themselves, you have to remember everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge that they've been given, with how they've been raised, and they're going by that. Not necessarily because they know exactly how you are and how you react. They're just knowing how they might handle it or what they would like. So sometimes, instead of getting angry and being like, screw you, or God, that's insulting to just even ask me to come out, you just say, thank you so much. I'm glad you're thinking of me. I'm okay. That's it. Done. Done. You don't have to engage anymore. You don't have to do anything else. You just have to appreciate people because at least they're trying. Put on the funny. Laughter is the best medicine for a reason. For me, I watched a lot of Bob's Burgers. I watched a lot of Rick and Morty. I watched all the seasons of The Office again. Watch funny stuff. Keep looking at memes. Remind yourself to laugh, because as much sadness and grief there is in this world, there is just as much happiness, okay? You are both equal. And even though there are times when some outweighs the other, it is still healthy to remind yourself that this is just as much as this, except at this moment in time. If you can laugh through the sadness as you're going through it, you're gonna be okay at the end of the day. Another one is I always keep a gratitude jar every day, or I try to remember every day, depending. Again, I'm not gonna beat myself up because I'm a little forgetful at this time in my life, okay? But I have a gratitude jar. Every day I write something down that I'm grateful for and I just pop it in that jar. Let me go get it. Hold on. Okay. I have this little jar here, and I know this doesn't look like a lot, but it's actually like stacked really nice in there. And this whole thing is every day I try and write down something that I'm thankful for. A lot of these are my cats. But if you can find one thing, write it and put it down. Eventually you'll start to get more and more messages of what you're grateful for and what you're thankful for, and soon enough it's gonna fill right up. When you put your mind in a state of appreciation, you can't feel sad. There's no way you can start to feel sad when you're starting to appreciate what you still have. And remember all the good things that are still in your life, rather than solely focusing on the challenges that you have been presented with. So everything that I talked about is all under this one word called grief. So when someone's saying, I'm grieving, you look up this video and you watch how complicated it is, because I didn't understand what sorrow and despair meant until I felt it. In conclusion, everything that you're experiencing is normal and everything's gonna be okay. Just have patience with yourself and with others. And if we can do that, we can eliminate a lot of problems that distract us from the grief. Thank you so much for letting me come into your homes and allowing me to talk to you about stuff like this. And thanks to Colonel Meow for showing up whether I like it or not. Is this a fucking hairball? You drank the rest of the scotch? You're bad? Mother.
Pee.
There's also like a lack of initiative where you don't want to start anything or do. But can you not interrupt as well? Like he's trying to get to my forehead. Pee-pee, stop, turn it off.